Hello, Michelle. Delighted to be having, I think it's about the 8th chat with yourself. Joined this time by joined this time by special guest George. Hi, George.
Oh, Terry, thanks for having me and let me pop in, man. I appreciate it. Cheers.
It's really great to meet you at last, George. I've heard your voice every day for the past couple of months. So it's very,
Poor you,
very nice.
poor you.
Oh no! Don't you say that? You have got an amazing voice, and it's like
certainly appreciate that.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's been wonderful listening to your audio narration. Now I know that your next book isn't my cup of tea.
That's right. Or the author.
Yeah, but definitely the one after that. I look forward to reviewing again because I've always got a name out for a good audio book.
What is this audio book, Michelle?
So what it is, George is reading. I've got it written down as The Code, but it's called The Code of Civilization, and it's written by Russian author. And George, please correct me if I pronounce this incorrectly. So Vyacheslav Nikonov.
That sounded very good. You did well.
And it's basically going through and again, George, please correct me if I'm wrong, the geopolitics, the world politics from like the Italian Renaissance up until now, well, till about 2019, just as it started to rumble in the Ukraine. And for somebody who isn't necessarily interested in politics per se, I found it interesting, which is, not an easy task, and so well done, George. And I've got to say, your voice helps it along because you add just the right stress in just the right places so that, you make not the contents as interesting as such. Well, it is, but what I'm listening to. Does that make sense? Do I make sense for you?
Well, I certainly appreciate it because that work was definitely it was a lengthy one. It was,
Oh yeah,
I don't think they've had such a long book since Tolstoy. So
no, it was 27 hours of listening.
Wow.
Yeah,
it was a good one.
And George, let me tell you, it's a good job it was your voice.
I so appreciate you, Michelle, for even saying that. But it is that the content was really for somebody who, has that history perspective to it, which was interesting, and obviously it's from the Russian point of view, which and Western audiences don't usually get that inside glimpse as to how they're viewing geopolitics now.
And that is my cousin had a lot of business dealings in Russia before all this kicked off with Ukraine. So he was a financial advisor to a couple of big Russian companies, and it was kind of like he said the way the Russians view like Putin to the way we view.
No, sure, and it kind of puts it into perspective. It's there's a whole country of people.
They it was as I said, I found the fact that your voice made me able to listen to something that long. If that had been like, I don't know, the woman who used to play do you remember Hong Kong Fooey?
Oh yeah.
If Daphne had been reading that, definitely not. I'd have had to have turned off after the first hour.
Well, that is a ringing endorsement, Michelle. I tell you, but no, I appreciate the compliment. That's for sure.
Yeah. And Terry will tell you, I'm very honest.
Michelle, what have you been reading then recently? What else besides listening to George?
Okay, right. I have been reading.
Oh, Oujo, the dog.
Oujo. Oh my God. Oh my God. I am one of these people who, you know, I don't care who dies in the movie as long as it's not the dog. And then in Cujo, I found myself rooting for the dog to die. I was like, oh no. So I'm kind of like, I'm so torn with this book. It's like, you know, oh no, you know, I can't root for the dog to die, but in a way, it's kind of like I want to put out this misery, you know. So yeah, so Cujo is getting a 10 out of 10 because it's kept me absolutely heartbrokenly entranced right the way through. You've got to read the book. So to give you a bit of background, and Cujo is a dog that gets rabies. He's the Saint Bernard. He is the like loveliest, sweetest dog on the face of the planet, and you've seen a lot of this from his point of view, how what the rabies takes hold of the dog. And that is like, you know, and how he goes from being like perfectly normal, perfectly happy, and like, ow, that bat scratched my nose, ow, to being hate, kill, die, must kill him. No, Cujo,
no. Stephen King, though, he's well, for this YouTube channel that I've got, he's the top of the list, the impossible guest to have on. But you, George,
Right,
for your Spotify podcast, would he be top of your list? You know, if he was available.
Oh, absolutely. He's one of those authors
Impossible.
that, like you
Yeah,
said, the impossible guest, you know.
yeah.
And he's
But
he's
he
so
does
prolific.
he does do the odd interview, apparently. You know, you
Yeah.
just gotta catch him, and as would imagine, catch his agents at the right time.
Of course, yeah. That's the trick to it. Yeah. So what else have you been reading then, Michelle?
So I've been reading Cujo. I'm still doing it. I'm rereading J.R. Ward. As I said, love her at last. I don't know. Oh, come on. If you can get a little square for that, love her at last by J.R.
Okay.
Ward.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows J.R. Ward, this is the one with Quinn and Blay. So any J.R. Ward fans are straight away going to go. Oh. So what it is, all the way through, right the way through, I think when it came into Quinn and Blay came in book 1, and we've watched these two pre-trans kids grow up and transition through the books, but there's been a spark between them. Blay has always been in love with Quinn, but Quinn has always pushed him away. It's kind of like, you know, I don't do commitment, but the whole time Quinn has been in love with Blay, but he's pushed him away and pushed him away and pushed him away, and now Blay is broken up with his boyfriend, and Quinn's got one of the chosen pregnant, and not telling which one. You've really got to read the book. It's the story of the J.R. Ward series, and you know, it's at the iconic couple Quinn and Blay, and one of the chosen. So and so what the chosen are, they're like what we call angels, but they're blood suppliers of pure blood to the vampire race that is Black Dagger Brotherhood. And yeah, it is just, if you love vampires, you love paranormal romance, and it is just the series to read. As I keep saying, every book I read of hers, I give a 10 out of 10. It's just the best series ever, and I'm rereading it, you know. So yeah, definitely 10 out of 10. I don't think I talked about John Pidgeon's self-help trash pigeons.
No. Great title.
Yeah, it's very deep and very dark. But anybody who has depression and that feeling of hopelessness, that feeling of flitting from one place to the next, not knowing what's going on, everything's going wrong, you make a decision to counteract that one and find out that the snap decision you made to counteract that snap decision is just making things go even worse. And this is what John Pidgeon's life is like, snap decisions. And you know, it's like at first I was like, oh, he's just telling me that Junior is flying from A to B. And it took about 4 or 5 chapters in where I realized, no, he's not just telling me that Junior is flying from A to B. What he's telling me is Junior's at point A. He's got to get to point B. Oh my God, he's at point B and it's gone wrong again. But anybody who has suffered with depression will understand that. Will understand that, you know, you try to scramble your way out of these bad situations that are making your depression worse. And you seem, because you're doing it so desperately, you don't think about think things through, and you fall from one bad situation to another. And, you know, so it's a very, very poignant book. And it took me a while to figure out what was going on. But when I did, yeah, really, really deep book, really deep book. And it's not so much it's not so much a story about a pigeon whose life just keeps going wrong. This is a metaphor for a man who's going through depression and all the external those external things that keep happening that he had that are outside of his control that just keep weighing him down. He's trying to pull it out of the situation to get away from it, you know. And the metaphor for that is he flies from his rooftop to Brooklyn Bridge.
Okay.
But then something goes wrong at Brooklyn Bridge. So for anybody, it's a very long book. That's one thing that I would say. And I think that my one criticism will be he could do put it down. But this is him telling his life story through the eyes of a pigeon.
Okay. So what are you reading at the moment in the narration, audio wise?
Oh, actually, I know Michelle had talked about it a little before. Not her cup of tea, the author, you know.
Yeah.
But I chose actually a project for myself this time after that lengthy project from Amazon of Code of Civilization. But I'm doing Hemingway's Sun Also Rises.
Oh yeah.
Since it's gone to you know,
out of what's the word?
yeah, it's
Copyright.
out of copyright.
Yeah.
So yeah, since it's gone to public domain, and I know that's Michelle's favorite author. I think we mentioned it on that time we were on the show last time with Steve.
Yeah. But hang on, here's a book you must read if you are reading, or if you're a fan of Hemingway. So this is Max Perkins, and it's the story of Hemingway's agent and editor, Max Perkins.
Is it fiction, Michelle? Is that?
No. So it's by Max Perkins' biography.
Yeah. Oh, right.
And he was the agent and editor for Hemingway, for F. Scott Fitzgerald, and for many other very famous authors. And his life story is amazing. You know,
well, and that's true, and it could spin off. You're right, Michelle, because that was that whole crowd, and that was one of the things I was telling you. You know, love him, hate him, which it tends to be Hemingway's personalities for today.
Yeah.
You know, there's no in between with him. Yeah. You know,
I mean, he was a complete misogynist, but you know, I'm really. You can't ignore the talent. No matter how much you dislike a person, you cannot ignore talent. It was like somebody said to me recently, oh yeah, J.K. Rowling, she's a bitch. Harry Potter belongs to the people now. No, Harry Potter is her creation. Can't take that away from her. You might not like her, you might not like her points of view. That said, you cannot deny the talent. You know, that's the thing. And I dislike him.
And his life was so fascinating. Sure. Yeah. His life was so fascinating. Love him or hate him.
How he survived so long is everybody did.
Oh, sure. Between the plane crashes in Africa and
Fast
Burn-
cars, fast women, fast drugs, fast food, alcohol.
That's it. And I tell you, one of the most beautiful things I've ever read is, as far as just a simple interview that he had done. It was an old friend, and I think the interview ran in Harper's Bazaar, an excerpt of the interview that turned into a novel. But it was just the most beautifully written interview story of Hemingway, because all the interview was, that portion was him talking about his first wife and what occurred with them through France, and those early days back with F. Scott Fitzgerald, back when they were all hanging together in the Lost Generation kind of era, and it was just a beautifully written interview too. It read like a novel, and that's one of my favorite quotes of Hemingway's, and it wasn't even from a book. Is in the interview, he's talking about how it went with his first wife, and he just said, for years he contrived the moment, and in the end he still felt like the victim. And it was just a great quote about how that first marriage went with Haley, his first wife.
Yeah, but I think that he did kind of like always feel victim. If you look at his dealings with Perkins, he was, what was that big author called? Thomas Wolfe. And
Bonfire of the Vanities, was that?
I think so. Yeah. He was actually a really decent guy from Perkins' perspective. And Perkins saw him like a son. But he had mental health issues, severe mental health issues. Hemingway seemed to take that as a personal affront against him. And I'm only, I'm going on what Perkins was saying about the relationship, and then it was like as if Hemingway would attack anybody who got close to Perkins. Hemingway, F. Scott Fitzgerald introduced Hemingway to Max Perkins, and it was like as if Hemingway got a bit possessive of Perkins' way. And he turned on Scott Fitzgerald. He definitely turned on Thomas Wolfe. It's very to me, Hemingway was a dangerously difficult man. But I'm reading it not only because I know what he was as a hunter, that his bent went towards the cruel. He enjoyed cruelty, but he was difficult with people around him as well. And in one of his books, I was reading an excerpt. Maybe it's one where George sent over, where he left that woman in the bar. Was that what you sent me, George?
Probably one of the clips of the draft chapters, the early chapters.
Yeah, and it was just kind of like he just dropped her like she was a piece of waste paper. And I thought, that's pretty much what Perkins was saying, or the biographer of Perkins was saying about Hemingway's relationships with people.
Michelle and George, looks like time's caught up with us. But I've really enjoyed this. It's been different, been better. We're getting a different angle on things.
Yeah, it has been fun. I'm so glad you invited me to pop in, Terry. I appreciate it.
Delighted that you joined in. But let's all keep in touch, as we all have been together anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I will see you at the end of December. I'm reading. Okay, so I am reading Retribution of a Stranger by Kathy J. Hopkins. So that will be my December's review, along with the Next Year Award installment.
I like that, you can tell.
Yeah, do love a bit of award. She's my favourite author. There's no doubt the Black Dagger Brotherhood series is just the best ever written.
Okay. Well, I'll look forward to that then in a couple of weeks' time. But for now, everyone, take care and cheers.
See you guys later.
Bye now.